morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Time to wake up. Get your body moving. Hey, hey. You know what it is. First Sky Omaha radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
That's right. Boy, it's the morning for real this morning.
Man.
Well, all right. Hey, hey, hey. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Buddy, you look like you're in deep thought over there.
I just thought of some dots I'm trying to connect real quick.
Uh-oh. Buddy's dot connecting already. It's early.
Man.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, hey, hey. Once again, thanks for joining us. We're just trying to wake up. You got to bear with us this morning for real.
Man, we tired, boss.
Boss, we tired. Nice is hot. Shout out to the 630 crew over there chilling on the music channel that we got. FirstSkyOmaha.com. Hit the listen button. I'm all over the place. Can't remember nothing.
Man.
Oh, in the chat already. What's happening, y'all? Stacey Jean says, good morning, First Sky Omaha family and friends. Judy Princewood gives us a good morning, beautiful people. Good morning to you as well. Pop says, good Monday morning, First Sky squad and fam. Love from Las Vegas. Thanks, Pops.
Hey, squad.
Yeah. Vicky Young gives us a good morning in the morning.
Yes.
Sunshine. And Brother Valentine says, good morning, fam. Good morning to you, brother. How you doing? I don't know if you like us. We tired. It's a rough weekend. I guess it's a rough weekend. I don't know. Long weekend, yeah. Definitely tired on this Monday, November 21st, 2022.
22.
Can't even fake the funk today, boy. I don't know what happened. Anybody else not getting no sleep last night, or was it just us? Mark Manor says, good morning from Brisk Bike Lane. From a Brisk Bike Lane. That's what's up, man.
Okay.
Been following your adventures, man. You do some cool stuff. You go out of town, see some cool bands. Stay in town, see some cool bands, write about it. If y'all need to check out Mark Manor's Facebook page and stuff like that, man. He lays it out. He's a consummate music journalist, as far as I'm concerned. Josh Tate says, hey, happy Monday. What's going on? Wanda Lewis gives us a good morning. Mark Manor said, had a good week of live music. Yeah, man. Yeah, you make me want to get back out there and check some stuff out. If I can ever stop working for a minute and go do that.
Man.
But yeah, that's that. Yeah, I love living through you on that stuff. You see some cool stuff, man. That's what's up. Hit some cool towns and all that good stuff. Even make me want to get up and go bike riding and stuff in the morning. But as we said, it's Monday, November 21st, 2022 in Omaha, Nebraska. So Paul B don't do nothing early in any end months like November.
What's with the third person? The Paul B don't do nothing.
Paul B don't do it.
Man, yeah. Please wake up with us. I'm actually enjoying like the activity in the chat already. Sometimes it takes us a little while. Sometimes the chat needs to thaw out, needs to warm up. But it's coming in hot this morning. I'm appreciating that because we need that energy, man. Tired, understatement.
Man, welcome to News Monday. Of course, you like to tune in and find out what we're gonna be talking about during the week. Today is Monday, November 21st, the week of Thanksgiving. Anybody got turkey plans and all that good stuff?
Yeah.
Finally got me some tamales, bro.
How was that? I saw your post. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love, my guy. How was that?
Feeling real grateful yesterday. It was awesome. It was awesome. I walked in the house. My friend's mom was in there slanging them. I got a couple dozen, put some in the freezer. I'm good.
Okay.
Good.
I thought you just chowed through the whole plate.
Man, I almost did.
Had to stop yourself.
Yeah, I didn't stop myself in time either, because I sure enough did. When you bring home 2 dozen tamales after you ain't had none all year long, I just started peeling them. I was going for it,
Man.
I remember having the first bite of my last one, like, "I'm about to do too much." But I went ahead and had it.
Yeah,
And,
you
and
was regretting
it
it
was
afterwards, huh?
it was too much. I had to go take a nap. Another friend of mine hooked me up with a friend of hers down the street that was cooking enchiladas too. So I got some. I got a pan of those. So yeah, man, that's what's up. This is that time of year. I'm just like, let's go.
Man, so
Oh,
I can imagine you was just telling me about the lowrider documentary you was watching. I can just imagine you eating your tamales and enchiladas watching the lowrider documentary.
like
Like,
I got to
man.
get back to California. What am I doing? Yes, sir. Yes,
Oh
sir.
man.
Rose Reviews in the house says Chingo Bling, the tamale kingpin. Hey man,
Okay.
I tell
Ain't
you,
that a Texas rapper, Chingo Bling?
is it
Yeah, I think so. Like an
a
Asian
Texas rapper?
American rapper from Texas.
I don't know much about Texas rappers.
Man, hey, it's a whole Texas rap is a whole world. Like Texas is so big, it's its own economy. Like you will rarely hear about Texas rappers outside of Texas, but you go to Texas and they're every bit as famous as any other rapper you would think of.
All right. All right.
Yeah, shout out to Corey Mo, shout out to UGK.
Okay. Oh, well, I know about them cats, but I
Yeah,
mean, I was thinking about like the Hispanic hip hop
it's huge.
stuff in Texas. I
Mhm.
think there's a little bit of a LA Texas rivalry when it comes to like Chicano rap.
Hmm. I can see that. I can see
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Also, Stacey Jean said baking cookies and cakes this week. Uh-oh. Don't have me
Mm.
knocking on your door now. You know, fat kid like cake. Terry
Mm.
Crawford says, "Good morning, First Sky Omaha. Our community is in pain. We need each other. I thank you, First Sky, for being our resource. Much love."
Mm.
Appreciate you saying that, Miss Crawford. I definitely wanted to acknowledge some things that's been going on. You know, we don't talk much about the stuff that happens when there's tragedy in the community, but hits close to home. You know, we got to talk about it when it's the only thing in the news. When it's happening, when things are happening so prevalently that we have to acknowledge what's happening because we got to try to figure out some solutions. Then yeah, then it is appropriate for us to kind of talk about and try to reach out to you guys, the chat chimers, the ghost listeners. What can we do? You know, we're all about action. We're all about mobilization around here, not just a couple talking heads. So we got to figure out like what's up. You know, so we'll definitely jump into that and talk about that a little bit. Um, what's going on here? Also, Stephen Abraham in the house. How you doing? He says, we made it through another rotation. Let's rise to do good in this world." I like that. Appreciate that very much. Brooke says, "I'm doing the opposite of I'm doing the opposite of eating clean all week." Okay, Brooke, that's what's up.
Mm.
I started juicing last week too. I'm juicing, but I'm juicing most of the day and then having one meal, and that's going to consist of like the tamales and the things that things I got in the freezer and all that. But yeah, we were just talking about this last Friday, I guess it was. Like, remember last year we bought all that food and was doing all that kind of turkey and stuff and cooking, and we was like, don't nobody even want to take the dump cake home. We just like this is too much food. So I kind of thought that this year we would probably do something a little different. Pop says,
Take it
"Can a
easy.
frozen tamale make it to Vegas?" I don't, we'll see, Pops. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. You said somebody mentioned cookies and cakes. You can freeze that, right?
You can freeze those. Yeah,
Yeah. Man, I should have. Now that I'm thinking about it, man, I gotta kick myself, man, because Mama God is on the way, and she's
man,
bringing suitcases of food.
man,
I could have had somebody drop some tamales off. Could
man.
have had somebody drop some cakes and pies off.
Get your last boxes of time out before it closes.
Man, what's going on with that? Does anybody have any updates?
Yeah, if anybody knows what's going on with timeout, please let me know. I made a couple of calls like, "Hey, need it's only like 4 million. Let's do something." Nobody with it. Nobody's with it. Judy Privilege says, "Cleaning the house before trip to see Whis to see his relatives." Okay. Oh, to Wisconsin
Wisconsin.
to see his relatives. Okay, that's what's up.
Wisconsin.
You clean the house before the trip. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean nobody want to come back to a dirty house. You forget the dishes in the sink, then funked up the house.
I'll be last minute trying to get out of town. I'll be like, I'll leave this mess till I get back. Stacy G says, yes, you can freeze cookies and cakes. Okay, all right. There you go, buddy.
Hey, talk to me nice.
Brooke said, we should be asking you, Dad. Vegas got the good tamale spots. That's real. And the taco spots. Okay.
Man, yeah, some good eateries out there in Vegas.
Yeah, there is. And the Mexican food's getting better too. The Mexican food's getting closer to California Mexican food. So
Okay.
I guess when the Raiders went over there, they had to bring the tacos too. So
Yeah. Makes
yeah.
sense. Makes sense.
Oh man, let us know how your weekend was. Did you do anything special? Did you hit the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation for the celebration over there? Let us know how that went. Uh,
Celebration.
yeah, what else was going on this weekend that we were saying people?
Not necessarily over the weekend, but last week, Flatwater did have their prison forum. Did
Yeah.
anybody make it to that? Did anybody catch that? I think it was live on Flatwater freepress.org as well. So yeah, let us know if you caught one of that, how that went. I'll
And
definitely
also
talk
the
about that.
the mayor's roundtable. Like to know if anybody hit that because I heard there was some money floating around there. Somebody
Yeah, yeah,
posted like
yeah.
$3.2 million for something. I can't remember what they were saying that for
Law
law
enforcement.
enforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up with that? I'm looking for articles for that. I can't find anything quite yet. So if anybody in the chat knows about what that's all about, did the mayor just get a bunch of money to put into law enforcement? Millions? Like to see what's up with that. Ceci Jean says went to a book signing for Portia Love this weekend. That's what's up, man. Portia
Okay.
Love is one of my favorite artists out here too. I love that she just released a book. I can't wait to check it out.
Is that the one? We talked about that on Friday. Was that at the Vincent Theater? Was that the I Am a Black Woman event?
No, it's not. But that event killed the game. Sold
Okay.
like pretty much sold out the first day, almost sold out the second day, and everybody's raving about the performances. So I don't know if anybody in the chat or chat chimers or the ghost listeners went to that. I Am a Black Woman this last weekend, Friday and Saturday night at the Benson Theater, but apparently you missed a great show if you didn't go. So we're definitely gonna have her back, and I'll let you guys know about that. I'm looking at some of the footage and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, it's a bunch of young people, a lot of young energy on stage. It was great. It's great to see some people of color talking about some very serious subjects, approaching them artistically and all that good stuff. So that's what's up. Stacey Jean says it was at the fabric. It was at the fabric. So you're talking about the
Fabric
fabric?
Lab.
Lab? Yeah, yeah. Portia, yeah. Portia Love this weekend. That's what's up, man. I'm glad to see. I'm glad to hear that happened. I'm glad that she's still doing work because she's a prolific artist in a big way. So I love that. What about you, buddy? I'm gonna snap you out of your
Man, yeah, I'm still in the
connection there,
fog. I'm
'cause
not gonna lie. I'm still in the fog. Yeah, I didn't even realize it was about to be Monday until like late last night. Um yeah, it was a long weekend, man. Honestly, the last thing I kind of remember is Thursday. I don't even, and yeah, like we did a show on Friday, and I kind of barely remember that. But the last thing I remember is um going to my son's school. We had an international day, which I'm actually trying to find some photos for everyone. But went to my son's school. He had an international day, so all the students were kind of teaching about their cultures and countries of origin. And we, was out there telling about the Moorish Science Temple and Moorish American history and things like that. And then I was working on my car all weekend. That's all I remember, man. It was a blur this weekend. It was a long weekend and got family coming in, so I'm trying to get the transportation in order, trying to get the house in order, and yeah, yeah, yeah.
you get yourself in order. You're gonna have some early
Man,
onset Alzheimer's or something like that. You better slow down, bro.
man, you're talking about that list that you wrote down. I need to go ahead and do one of those, man. That fog, man. That what am I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Yeah, yeah. You got to write down a personal list. Amy Huffler says, "Good morning, fam." Stacey Jean says, I think the city got 3.2 million to fight crime." Yeah, we need to talk about
Yeah, we
that.
need to find that. We need to find that.
What are some of the other things we're gonna talk about? Let's get the show on the road here.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Beyond my boring weekend, and we do have a lot to talk about. And if there are any haps going on, it is Monday. But feel free to drop that into the chat. Let us know what's going on in your world. But what's going on here is that we're continuing to follow the money, follow the bag, if you will. Looking at a few articles. and lawsuits actually coming out. A hidden audit has revealed millions of dollars in overcharges for the Medicare Advantage plan, which is a second or a reiteration of Medicaid. So we'll talk about that and get into some smelly things that these insurance companies are doing. Also, shout out to our partners over at Flatwater Free Press. Again, I had a long weekend, so I will say I dropped the ball on making sure that we will have our media partners. That's all on me, making sure that we'll have our media partners in today. But we do have some things to talk about, man. Flatwater Free Press has a lawsuit going out against the Department of Environment and Energy, which is very interesting. Again, if you're not familiar, Flatwater and our journalists over there have been doing some investigating into what's going on with the state's water system. And they have found that there are possibly links to our high level of pediatric cancer, but it looks like some people are trying to block their work. So we'll talk about that lawsuit and also some of the findings that they've come across again in regards to our water and regulators not regulating what goes into our water. So definitely follow that situation. Also looking at health workers, at-risk moms in Omaha area to get help from a network of health workers, which is quite interesting when you take into consideration what we're talking about with Medicare and Medicaid and some of the overcharging and fishy activities that goes on with it. There's definitely going to be a connection there that we'll dive into. So again, we'd definitely love to hear your thoughts, especially those of you who are on Medicaid and Medicare. Just want to hear, some stories about your process and your experiences with using that service. Also, big shout out to one of the chat chimers for bringing this to our attention. Following the money, $27 million going into a new juvenile detention center downtown that they've been talking about now for years. But apparently they're behind. Apparently there's already going to be need for another one. The headline reads, Douglas County Juvenile Detention Center may be too small when it opens. And again, when it opens, it hasn't even opened yet. And they're saying it's too small already. Yeah. Interesting. In other news, again, a few shootings happened in the community, so we're definitely going to talk about just some of the updates with that, and definitely send our condolences and love and light out to the families dealing with loss in the community, man. So again, if you have any thoughts, let your mind be free, let your voice be heard. We are about 18 minutes into the hour, so let's go ahead and get this show on the road. Buddy the Gawd, Paul B, all of you, First Sky Omaha, let's go.
Good morning. What up? Good morning. First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, Buddy Da Gawd, all of you chat chimers, all of you ghost listeners, first and last time listeners. Thanks for everybody who is coming in and being with us here on this Monday. What is the date already? The 21st of November. So getting close to this turkey week, I guess is what it is. So let us know about what your plans are here. If you're on Facebook, do us a favor, share the show. Appreciate if you do that so we can get as many people talking as we can. Just share the show on your page. Also, shout out to everybody that's on YouTube as well. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And share the show there as well. Tell a friend. Again, the goal is to get as many people in as we can to talk and have some good discussion about events and things that are going on in our neighborhoods, things that affect us civically, local politics, all kinds of different ways, art, all kinds of things to talk about today. So we'll definitely dive in and do that. Wanda Lewis is telling us what she did yesterday. Said deep clean kitchen yesterday and cleaned out 2 fridges, getting ready to prep for the big day on Thursday. I'll be busy, but I still be listening to First Sky Omaha. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're glad that we can be there with you and talk about some of these things that's going on. It really does help. It's kind of cathartic for us in particular to really be able to see what's going on and be able to talk about it and talk to folks and hear some perspectives from people that we admire and listen to and respect. And so yeah, hopefully this does the same for you as well. Put some things in perspective, gives you some language to talk about it, sort out how you feel about things and so on and so forth. I've been feeling real hard this last week about all the shootings and stuff that's been going on here.
Mm.
We don't really talk about it much, but um, but it's been weighing on me because it's kind of the only news coming out of Omaha right now. So we're waiting on what's going to happen next with our young folks out here, and it's really messed up, really kind of scary. And I know it's been weighing on you guys too. We've been talking kind of offline on Friends of First Sky Omaha, personal messages back and forth, and just discussions all over town about things that are going on here, and then things that's also happened that's hit close to home as well. So we'll definitely be talking about that a little bit later, and really appreciate everybody that has the wherewithal to reach into your emotions and talk about how you feel about things and get fired up to make some kind of change, take some kind of action. We can
Yeah.
figure out what action to take. So welcome to another edition. It is Monday. We're going to try to get this week started off well. This week, we are getting closer to the end of season 4, so that's coming up. When we get into this holiday season, that means we're about to wrap up and go spend some time with fam and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But I just want to also just real quick just say that I feel very grateful for you guys. I was feeling pretty grateful yesterday. I try to look at what I'm grateful for, especially on Sundays when I want to spend time with the fam and make that family day for myself. So I was just reflecting on had a nice coffee with Amy Hutflis in the chat. So
Hey.
appreciate you. Yes, it was good seeing you the other day too. Good friend. Me just building good friendships and good communication with everybody in the chat. And just really love it and appreciate you guys as much as I appreciate my family and everybody else. So just wanted to shout out to all of you that are on, ghost listeners, chat chimers. Love having these discussions with you, and glad you guys are here. Just wanted to share that little bit of gratitude there. So between time, let's jump into some things to say. So
Man.
where we starting, buddy?
Well, I mean, that's a good way to start. That's a very important thing to say. Regardless of what we talk about, what's going on, make sure you're showing some love to your loved ones, giving your flowers out to your peoples while they can still receive them. Especially in the face of everything that's going on. I keep increasingly hearing more and more that it's going to be a long winter. So definitely hold on to your acorns if you can, and yeah, take care of your peoples, man. So I think that's a good way to start. Because as we see, man, there's plenty of things that's taking advantage of the people out there. So, take care of each other. Let's take care of each other. And that's a good way to start off this week of Thanksgiving. So, yeah. But with that, let's go ahead and get into the news. And speaking of taking care of your acorns and holding on to your acorns, that is why we decided to make this season about following the money, which is exactly what we're going to do. And actually, I'll be getting into it in a second, but I stumbled across a website called followthemoney.org, which is pretty interesting. I urge
Really?
people to, yeah. I'll show y'all here in a second.
It
Uh,
was me.
yeah. It's very interesting, very interesting tool. But we'll start off actually with the post that one of the friends of dropped on Friends of First Sky Omaha. So again, if you're not a friend or a part or a member of that Facebook page, please make sure you check that out. Friends of First Sky Omaha on Facebook. Starting off with the student loan situation, just giving an update. I know a lot of people are looking into what's going on with that and trying to, stay on top of that and hoping that their student loan debt, I mean, if you're like me, hoping that the student loan debt can be forgiven or discharged is the language that they're using. But a friend of posted this and I wanted to share it for those who may not have seen it or are aware. Again, weeks ago, there was the application website that was available. And now people who have filled out that application are receiving this letter in their email from the Department of Education saying that there is a lawsuit. Again, there is a lawsuit in Nebraska. Pete Ricketts is one of them. I believe 6 states have sued the Department of Education and the Biden administration for their attempt. And the latest move was a judge in Texas stood and pushed this lawsuit forward. And now the U.S. Department of Education is being stopped from implementing this one-time debt relief program
Mm.
Again, for those who have applied, do not worry. As you see in this letter, it says we review your application and determine that you are eligible for loan relief under the plan. We have sent this approval on to your loan servicer. We do not need to take any further action. Unfortunately, a number of lawsuits have been filed challenging the program, which have blocked our ability to discharge your debt at present. So, again, they are holding on and approving those who have applied. Again, as you see, it says we believe strongly that the lawsuits are meritless and the Department of Justice has appealed on our behalf. Your application is complete and approved, and we will discharge your approved debt if and when we prevail in court. So, really, like, people can start seeing their accounts wiped clean as soon as this lawsuit is over. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on what's going on with this lawsuit. But again, that goes to more importance of why we need to make sure we have, good governors and good people in the seats. Because of this lawsuit, Ricketts is one of the 6 states. Ricketts and Nebraska are on one of their 6 states supporting this lawsuit, pushing this forward. I'll try to go to the website to see if that's still open. It currently is not. As you can see, it is blocked, and they are asking that you subscribe and look continuously for updates as this lawsuit goes on. But even the website and the application is blocked. So, yeah. Thanks, Ricketts.
Thanks. Hey, thanks.
I mean, hey, man, it's not great. It's $35,000 I'm dealing with, and I'm sure it's double that for a lot of people.
Yeah.
In the 70s and hundreds. Are you still paying? Did you take out loans? Are you?
Oh yeah. Yep. Still paying for sure. You hear me echo at all over there? Check
No.
1, 2. All right, cool. Yeah, I definitely, yeah, man. Oh, Brooks said I got this too. Talking about the letter.
Okay.
Yeah. Still paying, still, still, defer. There was I heard somebody was going to be on the radio today on KIOS that was talking about, they think the study says a lot of us haven't been paying those back, and so the system is kind of messed up anyway. But and then how does that affect your credit? How does that affect your everything?
Mhm.
These are good questions, and a lot of people get like I got real confused the first time I tried to defer anything. I didn't know what exactly that was, or how I can postpone payments for a while, what that meant. Postpone payments, and that doesn't do anything for the interest. You find out later on the interest keeps on compounding, and you end up owing crazy, crazy, crazy amounts of money. So
Yeah, man.
still, it's unfortunate that that people people, most of these people who are getting handouts and bailouts in companies would spend their time blocking people from getting $20,000 and $40,000 relief
Yeah.
from a situation where it's money that's not there. It's made up money. It's the interest that would be charged to you later that's getting erased. So it's what I'm saying, like, it's just
Mhm.
really interesting, like, how and it's all Republicans doing that, so it's really interesting how they think.
Yeah. I mean, it is very interesting, and we'll get into, some of the things that these insurance companies are doing. But yeah, it's these loan providers, these insurance companies. Um, that's kind of how the country is made, collecting money on debt, on interest, predatory loans. A lot of wealth is made out of thin air on that. You know what I'm saying? Giving out loans and collecting on crazy interest rates. But hopefully, as they say, that this will prevail and go through in court. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on that as one of the bags, or one of the ways we are following the money.
Yeah.
Another way, in other news, a big shout out to Flatwater Free Press, man, for making waves again. I dropped the ball, so we will not be having anyone representing, but this article is representation enough, man. Shout out to Matt Wynn for writing this article. They are suing, they being the Flatwater Free Press as an organization is suing the Department of Environment and Energy based on its response to public records requests.
Okay, so I'm really interested in this because I think this might be the first time I've heard of a news entity suing a governmental organization over not getting the information that they're supposed to be getting. So this is interesting.
Man, I mean, Flatwater Free Press, man, they're always doing the good work. Shout out to my man Matt Wynn, who wrote this article. And basically he's laying it out. He says, reporter, the intrepid Yankee Shoe, who, if you remember, also got in hot water with the Nebraska Department of Corrections for her attempt to cover the parole board, and they try to charge her with bringing in a phone, and they try to treat the phone as if it was like contraband, and try to treat her like she was almost trying to put together an escape. You know what I mean? Like, try to treat her like a criminal.
Brought in the cake with a knife in it.
Man, you know what I'm saying, with the file. But now she's in the middle of some more controversy as she's just trying to do her job. She's been spending months digging into issues related to nitrates that seep into the groundwater, which we sort of touched on last Monday when we had Brother Matt Wynn on. And they have released several articles just laying out some of their findings, but it seems like there are some things that they're being blocked from. As her reporting has revealed, nitrates in the groundwater throughout Nebraska, mostly rural western Nebraska, is likely related to the state's high rates of pediatric cancer. And also there was a tip from a well-placed source that regulators aren't really regulating. So again, there are individuals, regulators, people who aren't doing their job, which may be causing high rates of cancer in children, pediatric cancer in the state of Nebraska. That is a problem. That is a real problem. And tips like that are key ingredient to investigating reporting. As Matt says, journalists take them and report them out, proving or disproving them, looking for evidence one way or another to indicate just how true these claims are. But again, they are sort of a guiding light in journalism. But what makes a good journalist is their ability to get the documents, get the actual information to back that up. That verification process, it is what separates our work from the rumor mill, which is definitely something that Paul has been adamant in us making sure that we're, separating, our discussion and our breaking down and reading between the lines of the articles, and then our partners like Flatwater, like The Reader, doing the integrity work, doing the actual journalism, as he says, to separate the real work from the rumor mill. It is essential to what we're talking about here, is essential to what Flatwater does. It is essential across the board to making sure that the fourth estate remains the fourth estate. It is sort of our check and balance, if you will. So it is a problem when entities, especially government entities, try to block us. That verification process is why Shu asked both the NDEE, the Nebraska Department of Environment and Energy, and several NRDs, which are resource districts, for employee emails that use the keyword nitrate and several others. The NRDs complied, but the verification process was stopped at the Nebraska Department of Environment and Energy, who apparently asked for $44,000 for their documents.
Okay. So she asked for some documents, and they said, "Yeah, you can have them, but you got to pay $44,000 to get them."
Yes. For that amount of money, Matt Wynn says Flatwater Free Press could have bought a brand new Cadillac sedan as a company car. He says, heck, we could have bought 2 gently used Honda Civics.
Gently. So wait a minute. And let me get this straight real quick before we go on. Is that public documents that we're talking about here? Documents
These are, well, put it like this: the Nebraska Department of Environment and Agency is a government agency. Is a public agency, and they are asking for employee emails for this public agency. So tax dollars pay for that whole system, pay for whatever service they're using to facilitate the emails. Now, if it were their personal emails, that might be one thing, but these are state employee emails.
So they stop you. They can't stop you from getting legally obtaining these things, but they're going to put a wall up called $44,000 to get them.
There you go. Which is why, again, a lawsuit has been filed on behalf of Flatwater Free Press against the Department of Environment and energy. Now, I will say that there is some cost attached to releasing some of those or getting some of those documents. In the article, Matt Wynn says, I don't question whether there is a cost associated with pulling together public records. We routinely ask public officials, people who are paid with taxpayer dollars to perform important jobs, to spend their precious time searching for emails to export data from sometimes dusty old systems to dig through file cabinets, ancient reports. It's understandable that it is a process and sort of inconvenience to getting that information. But again, $44,000 is a ridiculous, as I'm seeing in the chat, a ridiculous request, and obvious intentional hurdle to these people doing their jobs.
Wow. Okay. Well, I can see why they're fighting this battle here. It's hard enough to get the documents and figure out what you need to go get and get it and report on it and so on without people that are actively trying to put unreasonable hurdles in front of that. So this is, like I said, this is a news entity that's suing a government agency. This is something that's I've never seen. I'm sure it's happened before, but I've never really witnessed, knowing anybody who's gone through it. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see who's attached to that department. It'll be interesting to see
The people.
who the people who got hired, who assigned those people, if there's some assigned positions, where follow the money. So who's connected to companies that need to skirt around environmental things. Who's putting what I'm saying? Like, is the Ricketts family connected to some kind of manure company somewhere? You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
It'd be interesting to see like why there's people over there not doing their jobs, why there's people over there doing what they. I'm glad this is the news article they're trying to uncover, for sure. Let us know what you think in the chat. Really appreciate everybody that's joined in. I see you guys going for it. Wanda Lewis says well, first of all, she says it is stated that certain levels of nitrates in the water in Omaha can cause infant death. When you Google the 10 worst cities in the U.S. for drinking water listed under Omaha, you will be able to read the side effects. She says this suggested that you don't use tap water for baby formulas. OSHA has the report. I've done work for them. So I definitely thank you, Wanda Lewis, for your expertise there. I definitely want to dig into that a little bit more to find out, what that's all about. I mean, this is about. We found there's nitrates in the water. Those nitrates can hurt everybody and cause infant death. They Some investigation needs to happen. So here's one of our journalists going for it, going to go
Yeah.
investigate and being held up everywhere. So, like Miss Erica Phelps says, that's ridiculous. Can't wait to see the outcome of this trial. Hope they win, of course. I think they probably will. So very interesting, interesting stuff, man. To see, this is what this show is for. We're sitting here talking about something that's hit close to home. Water, drinking water. What's coming out of the tap every day? Poison. You know what
Pretty
I'm saying?
much. Pretty much. Shout out to Noise, man. I didn't know that they did a report on this back in February of last year.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, and according to their article, it says pediatric cancer is more common in Nebraska than anywhere in the United States outside of the Northeast. Which, again, what Matt Wynn was saying in regards to the Pittsburgh, Steel area. A lot of that, is kind of leading you. You think of, Flint, Michigan, and the lead and the contaminants that seeped into that water from that industry. That's one thing. But outside of that, Omaha in Nebraska is the highest.
I don't know much about this, but I did hear that nitrates are in manure. Um, this Omaha has been a very industrial town, especially with the slaughterhouses and everything all these years. It's a wonder, and I'm sure they use a lot of chemicals and all those kinds of things too. So, I mean, how much stuff is really in the ground here? How much stuff is really, how much, for any industrial town like that? This is a huge industrial town. I mean, still, there's still evidence of that everywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really interesting to think about that. Like, like, you know, how much stuff is going on here, really. Um,
Yeah. My mind is kind of going along that track as well. Like, okay, it's one thing to talk about, the Department of Environment and Energy calling for $44,000 for these documents. But when you actually think about what's at stake, like again, somebody somewhere is not doing their job. There are people who are hired and paid to regulate this type of thing, and they aren't. And
right,
as a result, people are getting cancer.
babies.
Babies are getting cancer at a very, very high clip as a result. So why would somebody want to block this information from being, released? Why would somebody want to block these dots from getting connected?
Well,
It's
because
very interesting.
there'll be somebody to blame, and they're trying to skirt that, obviously. Because there's gonna be somebody that's gonna get in real trouble for this. Wanda Lewis said journalists can also contact EPA Region 7 located in Kansas City for a report on the water in Omaha. Ms.
Mm,
Hickerfeld says,
okay.
I feel like journalists would do well to reach out to Miss Wanda Lewis. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
We'll definitely pass that along to them as well. The utility companies don't want us to know this. Who do you think I was who do you think I was a utility company? The utility companies don't want us to know this.
Are you saying why?
Why do you think I was? Yeah, let me know what that last sentence is saying there. Yeah, I can imagine that they have to be testing and stuff all the time, and then come up with what's going on there. So I can imagine like all the stuff that we don't know that doesn't come out all the time. Um, I can't. Sometimes I'll be putting dots together, like the correlation between how many cancer hospitals we have here, how strong the cancer hospital industry is here. You
Man.
know,
Oh,
maybe people knew what was up, and you know what I'm saying.
well, we talked about it. We talked about, what are the industries in Omaha, where are some of the jobs going. And what we'll talk about here in a second. Up next, actually, the Medicaid and just the medical side of things, and how much money really is possibly in, the medical field, not just for the doctors, but for the hospitals, for the researchers. There's a lot of money passing through a lot of hands in that industry. And Nebraska is cancer central as far as our cancer research. UNMC is leading in a lot of the cancer research in the country. A lot of the virus, research, a lot of research in areas. Nebraska is leading in that. So it is kind of interesting, the fact that we have some of the highest numbers of
Yeah, that's
pediatric cancer.
what I'm saying. Wanda Lewis is asking who do you think owns the utility companies? That was her point.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. Jillian Post said two additional things to mention. Farm chemicals, nasty. Yeah, that's where most of the nitrates are coming from, as far as I'm understanding.
Hmm.
Also read about mead. It's shocking situation, and don't tell me that rivers don't connect in this state. Flatwater Free Press did a big mead article as well, talking about the stuff that was going on out there, and that situation still hasn't been taken care of.
Hmm.
Brianna Full in the house. Good morning. She says, I wouldn't be sure that NDEE will be held accountable for this. They're still mishandling the environmental crisis in Mead. Right. Everybody's talking
Meet
about right.
again.
Stacey Jean says they block it to cover their ass. I bet that upper management is aware of what's going on. Who stands to benefit from this information not getting out? That's
That's
what
what
I
I'm
want to
saying.
know. That's what I want to know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who
Who's
is the regulator? Like, who is the person that's responsible for regulating this stuff?
Very, very, very true. Amy Huffley says cancer is now the leading cause of death in Nebraska, surpassed
Mm.
heart disease. Wow. Good morning, Amy. Appreciate you too. Oh, and Miss Erica Fell says my concern is families that struggle to afford formula, even with WIC, who don't know this. I didn't, so aren't using bottled water for formula. I always boil the water, but I don't know if that is helpful. As a matter of fact, she was asking Wanda Lewis, "Do you know if that's helpful?" In an earlier comment. Chrissy Nora, good morning, says one of the first things I noticed when I moved from the South was the neurological conditions and the cancer rates. Yep. Definitely in had those kinds of struggles in my family here. Um, and as a matter of fact, my grandfather passed away from cancer that was brought on by some factory that he worked in years ago here in Nebraska on the South Side. So um, it's no coincidence. We have cancer centers everywhere and popping up all the time. So Stacy Jean says, when I worked as a disaster recovery planner, the company I worked for wanted to do the bare minimum to address critical, known potential critical issues. She says the company I worked for wanted to do the bare minimum to address known potential critical issues. Then we got to leave it at of course, when there's these kinds of things that are happening, the people that are going to suffer the most are people in the lower income
Mm-hmm.
areas,
Mm-hmm.
black and brown folks. Anytime anything like this happens, this is what it's almost like the runoff is where it goes off into our neighborhoods, and that's where it's at.
Yeah, and in regards to the Stacey Jean's comment about doing the bare minimum, I urge people to check out flatwaterfreepress.org. There's several articles, not just the article about the lawsuit, but the actual article about the water situation is out now too. Big shout out to Yankee Shoe for her work with that. But again, in this article, it says even as Nebraska's water grows increasingly laced with nitrates, again up to quadruple the times of how many nitrates are supposed to be in the water healthily. A reality that deeply worries the experts studying links between elevated nitrate and pediatric cancers is that the regulators meant to keep our water clean either can't or won't do much to stop practices known to cause nitrate levels to spike. Apparently, local NRDs, which are natural resource districts, and the Nebraska Department of Environment and Energy have few staff. So a part of the 44,000 that Flatwater Free Press was apparently charged goes towards paying for that staff. Not just paying for the getting the information, but actually paying for the staff, the engineers, the secretaries,
The
all
people
of
that
that.
the people that are failing at the job right now.
Right. Basically, you want the information, come pay our salary. They have few staff to monitor the vast swaths of farmland, which again, Nebraska is mostly farmland. Thousands of cattle feedlots, which again produces a lot of fecal matter, which produces a lot of nitrates. Large hog operations, which is definitely tied to cancer. If you know about Cancer Alley down in Louisiana, uh, from basically the pig feces being sprayed into fields, like that's how they're getting rid of their feces in these farming processes, which again goes back into the agriculture conversation that we've been having and the whole animal farm meat packing situation that we've been having, that conversation.
Go vegan.
All of that is going into the nitrate, into the water, and there's apparently not enough people to regulate it. That's one of the causes, and I guess the ones who are there to regulate it, again, either aren't or can't.
Kimmer Snipes in the chat. Good morning to you. Says Fred Connolly is on the NRD board elected position. Terrell won against him for state senate. He may have insight. I just saw him running. Was that him rerunning for that this last election? I'm not sure.
I believe so. I believe
Uh,
so.
Amy Huffley says, "Oof," and the USDA inspections are a joke. Yeah, man. About to go vegan again, like I said. 7:49 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we'll take a quick break and come back and jump into some other subjects. Definitely have some other things to talk about today. But thanks for all of your comments on this. Thanks, Stacey Jean, for your expertise on in the matter. Uh, don't drink the tap water, y'all. Don't we? But that's not where we got to stop. But that's the start. Craziness. First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All Beeee Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you chat chimers, all of you ghost listeners, all of you the radio channel listeners, thanks for joining us. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Share the show if you get a chance. Appreciate it. Stay tuned. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
A sunny day with Pops, Paul B, Buddy Da Gawd, all of you chat chimers, ghost listeners. Thanks for joining us. Brother Valentine said definitely an informative segment. I remember coming out to Omaha. I appreciate that. Coming out to Omaha back in my early 20s, stayed with my great grandfather. He was drinking water right out of the tap.
Mm.
He had a water softener in the basement that put a certain flavor on the water and all that. But yeah, it was come on. And I'm from California. We ain't drinking out of the tap since the 70s.
Mm.
So I was very shocked that he was drinking out of the tap when I came out here in the 90s. And apparently he probably shouldn't have been doing that. So I don't know how much the water treatment systems that people put in their house clear some of that out. I'm not sure. Like Miss Erica Felt says, I don't know if boiling the water helps.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, it's kind of jacked up, messed up. Another thing that's messed up that's going on right now, mass shooting in Colorado Springs. We got to speak on that.
Man.
Five people dead, and the reason why I want to speak on that person is hitting close to home. So, my family in the chat right now knows Budge and the family out there in Colorado Springs. He said I checked on the family. He said they're all good, but the shooting did happen right down the street from their house. So wild, another mass shooting. It's probably gonna be a hate crime because it was a LGBTQ bar that they shot up. Um, you know, just the gun situation here. It's like we're waiting every day to find out about another mass shooting.
Situation.
Yep. So, but yeah, just let the fam know the fam out there is good. Everybody's all right. Just a little shook up because it hit pretty close. It's apparently it's not a thing that happens a lot out there. Although they did just have a mass shooting in Columbus, I believe it was Columbus, Colorado, which I don't know how close that is to this one, but yeah, just crazy, man. It's like you're waiting every day to find out about what another mass shooting. It's really just what it is. Wanda Lewis says, keep in mind when they test the schools for COVID, they go outside to test the sewage water. I didn't know that.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah,
some
yeah, I did hear about that.
some things you just can't filter out. Okay, so again, bottled water, and maybe we need to find out where that comes from because
Yeah,
the whole
I was
the whole
gonna say even that, like you got to be careful with that.
the whole like Nestle water thing, the crisis, them just kind of pulling it out of the tap and reselling it in certain parts of the country. So yeah, you got to kind of find out what's up all over. There's definitely something kind of action needs to be. You need to stay aware of that part of things. What's going on with the environment in the form of the water that you directly consume
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a big way.
Not even just Nestle reselling tap water, but also like the companies that are actually selling, actual spring water. How are they going about getting that spring water? And how's that impacting like some of our native brothers and sisters? As far as their life downstream and expecting certain currents to move in certain ways and how that impacts everything. So
Also,
it's all connected. It's all connected.
also those native brothers and sisters are the only ones that's doing any kind of water guarding. They're fighting for our water. They're the water warriors for us
Yeah.
downstream from them even. Uh, brother, who was it just said that? Rome's Review says Third Eye Water. I was going to bring that up.
Hey.
This is a black owned company called Third Eye Water out here at Omaha, Nebraska, and these brothers take water from the tap and other places and put it through these series of processes that purifies the water. So what we'll do is definitely call up Jeffrey and them, have them come on and maybe talk a little bit about their process, so you can see there is something that can be done. But there's a couple of scientists, so they
Man.
brothers went there. They told me about it once. It went way over my head, but they get busy with it. So we really appreciate that. Mark Manner says the GOP demonizes trans persons in drag shows this past election cycle, and we all said this would happen, and it did. It will happen more. Locally, people like Kurt Penner and the current nutters running the NEGOP are spreading this, and it could very easily happen in Nebraska.
Mm.
Talking about this mass shooting in Colorado Springs. Brother Valentine says, we have a couple of lawsuits going on in the Carolinas related to water quality near agricultural and military locations.
Yeah,
Interesting.
the Lake Lejeune situation, which I have family members who were stationed at Lake Lejeune. I believe Mayor Sanchez, he said he was at Lake Lejeune for a little bit in North Carolina. So yeah, the water situation is definitely hitting home in a lot of ways. And I kind of want to stick with that and jump into a different article just to show how I'm viewing it and kind of reading between the lines for myself. Because again, you have elected officials who are not regulating, whether it's, a lack of resources or just being lackadaisical on the job, that's causing, high rates of cancer in people. So you have to address that if you're dealing with health issues. And what do? You go to the doctor, but the doctor costs money. So what do? You sign up for insurance, you sign up for Medicaid, you sign up for Medicare, and then you get played again. This latest article from NPR, a headline reads, "Hidden audits reveal millions in overcharges by Medicare Advantage plans." Millions of dollars are apparently being overcharged by these insurance companies who are apparently, this is what it looks like, are taking advantage of these Medicare Advantage plans. It's the name Medicare Advantage is quite ironic. But again, for those of you who aren't familiar, the Medicare Advantage health plan is a newly released addition or plan under Medicaid. And there is a newly released federal audit that revealed widespread overcharges and other quote unquote errors in payments to Medicare Advantage plans, with some plans billing the government more than $1,000 per patient on average. There's about 90 audits, which only examine billings from 2011 to 2013. So it could be worse. It could be much worse. It could be a lot more than what's being reported. Actually, it is estimated that the actual losses to taxpayers is likely higher than what is being reported. But Medicare Advantage, which is a fast-growing alternative to the original Medicare, is run primarily by major insurance companies. Officials at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services have said that they intend to extrapolate the payment error rates from those sample errors across total membership of each plan and recoup an estimated $650 million from insurers as a result. Again, an estimated $650 million from insurers as a result. Ted Doolittle, who's a former deputy director of the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, which oversees Medicare's efforts to fight fraud and billing abuse, said the agency has failed to hold Medicare. Again, another agency that's supposed to hold oversight has failed to hold Medicare Advantage plans accountable. I think CMS fell down on the job on this, said Doolittle, who is now a healthcare advocate for the state of Connecticut. Doolittle said that the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services appears to be, quote unquote, carrying water for the insurance industry, which is making money hand over fist off of Medicare Advantage plans. From the outside, it seems pretty smelly, he says. So again, it seems like I'm trying to connect the dot as far as where this money is going and who is getting the benefit of these overcharges. But again, 90 different audits are the only CMS has completed over the past decade, again, from 2011 to 2013. So it could be more, but a time when Medicare Advantage has grown explosively, enrollment in the plans has actually doubled during the last several years, passing 28 million in 2022. Of course, pushed forward by the pandemic. As you know, a lot of people undoubtedly signed up for Medicare and Medicaid during the pandemic at a cost to the government of about $427 billion. 71 of the 90 audits uncovered net overpayments, which topped again about $1,000 per patient. And some of the insurance companies that are in the middle of this are kind of heavy responsible are United Healthcare and Humana. So again, I'm trying to figure out and connect the dots as to who is benefiting from this and what's exactly going on with this. But again, United Healthcare and Humana, the two biggest Medicare Advantage insurers, accounted for about 26 of the 90 contract audits over the 3 years. In all, again, 90 audits found plans that received $22.5 million in overpayments, though these offsets were by underpayments of about 10 million. So about 12 million of those in overpayments. Thoughts? Hello? Paul, you there? Guess not. I'll go to the chat. Amy Huffley says lack of resources, but also weren't the regulations eased during the Trump administration, EPA and USDA? Yeah. But you got to think, why are some of these regulations eased and who benefits? Follow the money. Wanda Lewis replying to Amy saying, yes, I fought against EPA regulations and standards during the Trump era. Jillian Post also says the insurance companies are the benefactors. Most companies. Yeah, Paul B. What happened? And Omar Valentine says most companies and structures involving a cost per person have an incentive base per structure. Kind of expound on that. What do you mean, brother Valentine? Oh man, Paul B in the chat says his electricity just went out. Okay. Well, we're gonna keep on pushing. Again, as you see, this is live. Hopefully my man Paul B gets that fixed here in a second. Man, I thought it was a cock situation with his internet. But yes, again, brother NMR Valentine, if you can expound on that, says most companies and structures involving a cost per person have an incentive-based pay structure. Kind of what is the incentive, if you can expound on that. But yeah, am I connecting the dot for y'all? I find it kind of interesting again that we have situations where lack of food, water, all of these contributing things that will lead a person to need insurance, would need health care. And now you have reports of, one of the most used healthcare plans being overcharged. And as again, I'm trying to think of who benefits from this, but as Jillian Post, I'm kind of along with you. It seems like the insurance companies who, again, as quoted, are making money hand over fist in this are benefiting. Mayor Sanchez, the word is getting out. The government has shut Paul down. They can't stop us, though. We still rolling. Jillian Post says, my parent tried a United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plan this year, and it's looking a bit slimy to me. How so? Kind of what? And that is a thing that I wanted to go to the chat. For those of you who are on Medicare, Medicaid, what are some of the experiences that you have had as far as getting, your health taken care of with Medicare and Medicaid? Are you seeing, a lot of hoops to jump through, or just what are some of your experiences? Are insurance companies, ready to help, or are they giving you a bunch of red tape and stipulations on what they will pay for, won't pay for? Kind of curious. Erica Felt says both of those companies are also Nebraska Medicaid companies. Yeah, and that's the if you remember at the top of the show, I was kind of doing some research and trying to figure out what are some of the dots that are being connected. And I do find it very, very interesting. It doesn't quite lay it out, but on this followthemoney.org website that I came across, it lays out actually Pete Ricketts and a lot of his donors. And his top donor comes from the finance, insurance, and real estate industries and markets to the tune of almost $3 million contributed to Pete Ricketts. And we do know that insurance is one of the industries in the Omaha area. So yeah, I find it very interesting that, again, we have insurance companies that are heavy and cancer companies that are heavy in the Nebraska area. Has to be more, more to it than what we're seeing and what we're being told. Am I the only one seeing this? Am I tripping? Please let me know. And again, for those of you who are on Medicaid and Medicare, I would love to hear some of your thoughts, some of your experiences. And there are still more audits to come out, so we'll definitely continue to keep our eye on this bag to see what's going on. Results of the 90 audits through, though years old, again, dating back to 2013, mirror more recent findings of a slew of other government reports and whistleblower lawsuits, many released over the past year, alleging that Medicare Advantage plans routinely have inflated patient risk scores to overcharge the government by billions of dollars. So again, are these insurance companies defrauding taxpayers? And could they be possibly, be working with some of these government officials and corporations to make sure that people have a reason to go to the hospital? Going back to the chat, Miss Erica Phelps, she's with me talking about, gotta follow the money. Again, I don't have an exact breakdown, but I would love to see an exact breakdown of who supports, rickets. Who supports who? Because these insurance companies are definitely pouring millions of dollars. Paul, is that you?
Can you see me?
No, but I can hear you. Can the chat? Can you hear Paul?
I'm back in on the phone, so just trying to get that happen. But...
Okay. But are you in the dark? Is that?
No. It's just the camera's not working, so we're trying to figure that out real fast.
Okay. Well, while you work on that, let me go back to the chat. Big shout out to the chat chimers for helping me out on this one in face of these technical difficulties. I can't really show my screen or share anything. I can't change it because Paul is controlling everything. So we're stuck on this screen. But big shout out to everybody in the chat. We're gonna jump into the chat really quickly. Erica Phelps says, "I'm still trying to get Medicaid, SMH." Very interesting. Wanda Lewis says, "You basically need a gap plan with mostly all insurance companies in order to financially protect yourself." Man. Pop says, "I've had it for a few years and they have been awesome for me." Okay. He says, "They don't hold back on testing I may need, and they really help with prescription costs." Okay, that's good. That's good. But on the flip side of that, in this report, it is saying that a lot of insurance companies are actually reporting that people are sicker than they are, which is causing some of the overcharging as well. It says often medical records supplied by health plans fail to support claims. Unsupported conditions range from diabetes to congestive heart failure. Now, overall, average overpayments to health plans range from a low of $10 to a high of $5,888 per patient. That's collected by Touchstone Health HMO, which is a New York health plan where a contract was terminated by mutual consent back in 2015. Kimra Snipes giving some insight. She says, "My father is on both. He was just really happy because of some program they have that's giving him extra grocery money each month." Okay. Jillian Post says, "I saw my mom have to sign a form that said, quote unquote, my drugs during a hospital observation stay may not be paid by my insurance. Recently, I had my own nightmare with United Healthcare, and it took days to unpack it and fix it." Yeah, Omar Valentine coming with the quotes as always. He says, "Wu-Tang told us a long time ago that cream cash rules everything around me." Definitely.
Hey, so I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you can't get the camera working. So I'm coming. You guys are already discussing this story, and I'm trying to figure out. So where is the talk about that?
I'm sorry. You kind of, where's the what?
The over that they were doing coming from. Where were they overcharging people?
They're overcharging Medicaid. So there's a allotment of money in Medicaid, and these insurance companies are overcharging the Medicaid services. So they're, how can I put this, asking for too much money? Does that make sense? And the money is coming from taxpayers going to the insurance companies.
All right.
Are you following?
No, I missed it, but it's all,
Oh.
it's all good.
Again, the money is coming from taxpayers and going to insurance companies.
Okay, right. Yeah. So okay. So I'm hearing in the discussion so far that people are talking about who has it, who's waiting on it, and I was wondering if anybody in the chat has experienced that. Have they seen it on their bill? Were you aware of any kind of overcharging or anything like that that's been happening that you've been trying to fight? Any of that kind of stuff, or is this this is real incognito stuff that nobody was aware of that got caught?
Yeah. Here's a better way to break it down. In the article, it says auditors flag overpayments. So something is deemed an overpayment when a patient's records fail to document that the person had the medical condition the government paid the health plan to treat, or if medical reviewers judge the illness as less severe than claimed.
Wow.
So that happened on average for just over 20% of medical conditions examined over the 3-year period. Rates of unconfirmed diseases were higher in some plans as Medicare Advantage's popularity among seniors has grown. The Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services has fought to keep its audit procedures and the mounting losses to the government largely under wraps. That approach has frustrated both the industry, which has blasted the audit process as fatally flawed and hopes to get rid of it, and Medicare advocates who worry some insurers are getting away with ripping off the government. So again, it is being reported that say you might go in for something small that I can't really think of, a condition, but you go into the hospital for something small and the doctor, who's most likely in cahoots with the insurance company, says, hey, you have diabetes. We're going to subscribe you to these diabetes prescriptions and this diabetes medicine. And, we're going to write, all of this prescription, and we're going to charge the insurance company who is going to charge Medicaid for all of this. And then the money comes in and you really don't have diabetes, or there's no document, nothing supporting the fact that you have diabetes. Yet these insurance companies are saying you have diabetes, and the health plan are getting the money to go along with that.
That's incredible. Wow.
This is something going into the chat that I've heard Miss Erica Felt saying, I find it interesting that Ricketts refused federal Medicaid expansion funds. I didn't make enough for the marketplace, which referred me to my state Medicaid that said I made too much. So I went back to the marketplace and adjusted my income to be enough. I currently have marketplace insurance, but with no income, I've been trying to get Medicaid. She says the insurance companies are overcharging the state for services. So again, this is fraud. If the dots are connecting, and I'm reading into it, what I believe is being said, these insurance companies are defrauding not just the state but the taxpayers. Us, the people, are being defrauded by these insurance companies. And this is something I've always heard with dentists, as Miss Erica Phelps says. I've always heard of dentists and doctors overbilling Medicaid, but if Ricketts has ties to those two insurance companies, I'm not shocked they're overbilling the state for services, or even billing for services that never happened, which in essence is the same thing that happened with the St. Francis situation. Which it has been found, and people have been convicted of fraud.
Right.
And again, taxpayers, who Ricketts was right in the middle of that too, taxpayers paying for services that we did not receive.
That reminds me about when we were doing Mind and Soul when Obamacare first came into play, and when Obamacare hit, we were among a bunch of Republican states that had this gap that everybody was talking about, because of, if you didn't make enough money for Obamacare and then you made too much money for Medicare, then you fell into this gap, and a whole bunch of us fell into this what they call that chasm of no, not being able to get any health insurance at all. And a lot of other states filled the gap so that everybody can have it, but handful of Republican states decided not to do that, and Nebraska was one of them. So it's interesting to me, that we still have that, plus all the rules around that too, like how you have to, how much money you can't make in order to qualify, and so on. Like a bunch of hoops, and they make it impossible, and they still, we are still in that state that did not fill that gap. And it's interesting that happened when we were reporting on that before, and nothing has changed now on that. And on top of everything else, now there's a scandal about them overcharging.
And to be fair, again, this is only from 90 audits from 2011 to 2013. So it's only a small sliver, a piece of the pie. Like, we're not really getting the full picture. And based on the audit process of these companies, it's as they said, it's fatally flawed. We are only going to get a piece of the picture. We're not even going to get the full picture of how much taxpayers could be, being defrauded.
Wow.
To wrap up, going back to the chat, brother Nomar Valentine says anybody exploring open enrollment should meet with a navigator located at health centers. They are trained on the process for insurance plans and know how to navigate the system. Also, Erica Phelps says only 3 states refuse the Medicaid expansion. We are one. Ricketts said we don't need his money, as if it came out of Obama's wallet, like it came directly from Obama.
I remember that. That's crazy. Wow. Quite amazing.
Yeah, man. Man. And again, you put in perspective, on top of that, again, all of the ways people are getting sent to the hospital through poor water conditions, food deserts.
Yeah.
Just the diet that's pushed, milk. Yeah, man.
Whew. Yeah. Rough. Yeah. Again, problems that need clarity, need action. What can we do? What can we do about taking care of our own health? What can happen here? What are some solutions? This is not anything I'm asking about right now, but something to think about. If we're trying to be a solutions-based, action-based people, my mind is going so far as we have to come up with our own insurance company or insurance means, or fund for people when they're sick, or what can we do? Because it's so messed up, you don't even know where to begin.
Right. Well, and that's the interesting part about, we always talk about Omaha being nonprofit central, because when, there is a lack of oversight, when there isn't any real situation where the checks and balances is really working and keeping things checked and balanced, then you have like nonprofits and organizations that are coming together to do that work, which is this next story. The Omaha Community Foundation, they're trying to do something. This story is being reported by the Omaha World Herald. The Omaha Community Foundation will lead an effort to build a network of community health workers who will help at-risk moms and their babies have good birth outcomes. So again, this is in the face of, Medicaid and Medicare. This is in the face of what's going on with abortion rights and women's reproductive, rights being at stake, especially with, Republicans now having the majority that they have. The Omaha Community Foundation is aiming to train community health workers to identify at-risk moms and connect them with needed resources. This is according to Ann Meisenberg, who's the foundation's director of community investment. CHI Health brought the program to Nebraska by partnering with the Pathways Community Hub Institute, a national nonprofit group that developed an effective model to help communities work together to support underserved populations. So again, nonprofits coming together to do what essentially government isn't.
Right.
CHI Health brought the program to Nebraska by partnering with the Pathways Community Hub Institute. In its role as a hub, Meisenberg said the foundation will contract with nonprofit agencies that hire community health workers. The hub will then train the workers, provide support, and track the outcome. So again, really taking in their own hands that situation. Says if we're doing this right, the pregnant people won't even know the hub exists. They'll just know they're getting support CHI Health in Nebraska's 3 Medicaid managed care providers, which again, Health Blue Nebraska, Test Total Care, and United Healthcare, which is again one of the ones that are mainly overpaying, announced in May that each would contribute $250,000 to fund the hub's operations for the first 2 years.
Wow.
So,
like you said, it's a matter of a nonprofit organization trying to do something that the government ought to be doing, that our tax dollars ought to be helping with, and so on. But that a nonprofit organization is never really the answer to
definitely not long term.
A problem that large and long term, right? Yeah, that's
Can you see the chat?
I can see one at a time. I'm seeing what Sean McCarthy is saying right now. These types of fraud abuses is the consequence of treating something as fundamental as healthcare as a business. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Most civilized countries around the world, well, I ain't gonna call them civilized, but most economically sound, rich countries in the world have free Medicare, free medical care for their citizens. This is, and even some countries that aren't as well off still have it. Mexico has free healthcare. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it makes sense. We live in a capitalist society, and that's all that really matters to capitalists. And they're going to charge us for air when they figure out how to do it. So they're going to charge us for water. They're going to charge us for healthcare, food, all the fundamental things that keep people alive. There's no assistance for, no help for. And anybody who puts that together always puts the help together in a way that only helps a few, because that's all it can do. It's not. It doesn't. It wouldn't. It won't match the scale of most people in need, but only because they won't let it, and that's very frustrating.
Yeah. That's why we always talk about, is capitalism the way, and it's not necessarily the system of capitalism itself, but just the mindset that it puts people in. Worrying about the dollar, rather than worrying about what the dollar can do for the people.
Yeah, the dollars over people all the time is what that is. You can't have capitalism without exploitation, and that's just a fact of capitalism. So, yeah, man, interesting stuff. I want to reach out and just apologize for what's going on here. My whole building in this side of the street is out of power. Somebody, I don't know what's going on here. I'm hearing people walking up and down the hallways trying to figure out who's off, and looks like everybody's off. So this is a first for us. We always are coming across technical firsts. I'm looking at myself on screen here because I'm on my phone, and I've reached in on my phone, but I guess I can't control the scene here enough for me to join Buddy. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there with us on that as far as we can, do what we can do here. It's 8:24 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, I wish that I can go to a break, but can't play music from here. Like, can't do anything.
Man, I was going to ask, what can we do?
Can't do. Yeah, we can't do much anything. So keep on filling us in, letting us know your thoughts on a lot of things. I'm seeing more chats come in for sure. Gwen Easter in the chat, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on this morning. Says, I have no problems with United Healthcare. Okay. Not familiar with United Health. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, just to expound on that further down, she says United Healthcare has many good services and benefits that many families are not aware of. They hold events to let families know they qualify for these services and benefits.
Yeah, well, that's what's up. I'll tell you what. A lot of us are working, have medical care through our jobs. I do right now, working at the Benson Theater. I have medical benefits, but the system is still jacked. I said, okay, finally, I got some benefits. I'm gonna go get myself together here. I'm gonna go get some checkups, and I'm gonna go do this and go do that, and find out, make sure that I'm healthy and so on. And then I'm getting a bill for $1,000 because I'm not aware of certain procedures, and certain doctors that you go see are not covered. I got to do I got to do some head smoking on my policy to see what's covered, what's not covered. And let's not even start talking about the dental situation in this country, which is even if you have insurance, still spending thousands of dollars on.
Mhm.
And this is the country that has figured out that your dental work, the work that's going on with your teeth and your gums, and that system directly affects your brain and your health and all kinds of other things, but they don't include that in health. There's so much ridiculousness about our healthcare system. Is you can even have a job and be paying for medical care, still come out to pocket thousands of dollars just to do simple things like go get blood tests and stuff like that. So we talk about Medicare and everything else, but the only time I ever heard about anybody's 100% health care being taken care of is when we're talking about Supreme Court justices and people like that just have
Mm.
the president just 100% health care, taking care of anything that's happening gets taken care of. And it's crazy that most countries around us it's free because they feel like it's a right, like it's supposed to be thought of as a right.
Yeah, I mean, but you start to get into that, then you get too close to communism. You get too close to socialism and the other ideologies that kind of step us away from capitalism. And it's worth a discussion. Maybe we need to find something new because, as someone mentioned earlier, that these are the types of things you deal with when something as fundamental as healthcare becomes a business, becomes an industry. It becomes less of how can we heal people and more of how can we treat people and keep this cash cow going, because we all know that the money is in the treatment, not the cure.
In my opinion, I feel like a lot of it's been figured out already.
Mm.
We need a hybrid system, which is what happened when they put social security in place, the Medicaid and all these other programs. This is a capitalist society. Most medicine is capitalist based, but there are social programs like Social Security and all kinds of other programs that are actually socialist style programs. There needs to be some kind of a hybrid of those kind of programs for people that need it, and it needs to work better with capitalism if that's just something that's going to stay, and quit trying to act like there is one or the other, or it's always Bloods
Mhm.
and the Crips with everybody. It's always Bloods
Yeah.
and Crips with everybody all the time. Like
Gotta
they're
pick a
like,
side.
yeah, man. There's Grape Street. There's all kinds of other colors out here. So
Mm.
let's figure out how we can, let's try to get to some kind of hybrid situation or something. Obama tried to tackle it with Obamacare.
Yeah.
In my opinion, became way too expensive for the average person to really even be on. You had to kind of lie about your income just to like get it sometimes because of that gap. Um, so he tried to tackle some of that, but there need to be some refinement there. If he hadn't had to be fighting everybody about the progress that he did make, that it might have been refined by now. But it's not refined now. It's still hard to even, you're still working in a country that doesn't consider it a right, and that's just the bottom line.
Mhm.
They want you to mortgage your house to get to have a operation. They want all your money. Everything is so that they can take all the money that you have. Of even realizing how easy it is to make money. It's easy to make money. The hard part is to keep it.
Man, that part. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Paul on the soapbox, man. I definitely agree, and a lot of times that's when the politics get in the way of the policy that blocks some of those things, and you get people like Kim Reynolds, who gets to calling those types of programs a hammock, and believe that people are getting lazy, and their whole mentality is like you always talk about that paternalism, like we can't help people too much because they're not going to want to work. When at the end of the day, what is the point? What is the point of government? What is their job? Like you know.
They're,
You
they're,
know?
they feel like the point of government is for you to pay them taxes so that they can buy war machines and stuff. Like,
Yeah, man. That part.
what's the
So,
point? What's the point in taxes if you can't get taken care of? What's the point?
man, I like to wrap up this segment and go to the chat. Kind of going off, so we like to get to it before it gets away from us. Brother NMR Valentine says, yeah, he's speaking to Miss Erica Felt and Wanda Lewis. He says, I was thinking more of a coalition that could assist, inform, and advocate for the community without being associated with a center or service. Um,
Hmm.
okay. Miss Wanda
Advocate.
Lewis, go ahead.
I was just wondering, he's thinking about advocating for the community as far as are we talking about the health situation still?
Yeah, I'm trying to find exactly what he was replying to. You kind of oh, okay. Brother NMR Valentine says, does North Omaha have a community-based health coalition? Is that not Charles Drew?
Oh no, that's not a coalition. That's a company. We definitely, is there representation? I mean, they could be part of a coalition, but what's the coalition? Do we have any representation when it comes to healthcare? I'm gonna throw something out there, kind of controversial. I hope I don't piss nobody off, but every time I try to go to Charles Drew, I can't ever get in. And I've heard, and it's been a couple of times. It's been a few times that it's been like, well, I'll take that back. I was able to go get COVID tested when that was going on. That was an easy process. But I've been in there a couple of times where they were like, we have no doctors today. I had went in there a couple of times when they had a woman doctor that was in there that they said they only are treating women today. I would try to get an appointment, and it would be months before I can get in to see anybody. That the clinic has been tougher for me to deal with. I found out about One World and was able to get into One World easier, but that's driving to the South Side, which is basically One World is like the Charles Drew of the South Side.
Right.
So the clinic situation that is there to help us, like we were saying, just even talking about uh a situation where we have an advocate, or whatever, or nonprofit organizations that are there to help. A lot of times they can't solve the problem. They're just not big enough. They don't have enough volunteer. They don't have enough money so that they can hire more doctors. There's so many issues with even that part. That's what's throwing me off, is that even when you go into a solutions based idea, exactly what does that mean, and how can you cover the need? Can you cover the need? That's tough. I would love to be a part of some kind of coalition where we were, I don't know what the action would be in that coalition, but yeah, somebody needs to be representing people in our neighborhoods, that all of us, it's not even just people in our neighborhoods in the worst need. Everybody, even people with insurance, still be having certain needs. You can have insurance and they have to go in for a major operation, and you got to put your house up for it.
Yeah. And speaking of that coalition, let's remember Douglas County has this whole 22-point plan and has diagnosed and designated racism as a health disparity and a health crisis in the community. What does that mean? You know what I mean? What portion or what part does that play in this? Is that a part of their plan to create a coalition in North Omaha? We definitely got to round back around to that and talk to some people over there about what they are doing with that plan, because that's a part of it. They should be helping in those efforts. So yeah, a lot of questions, a lot of good questions, a lot of good comment. Sister Wanda Lewis saying only the Native Healthcare Center that she knows of. Sister Snipes also saying Pastor P had one at one point, I thought. So yeah, I don't know. Josh Tech says, after following the money all season long, Paul landed smack dab on the answer. The runaway capitalistic mindset and profit motive has pushed this country beyond one that cares for humanity. He says, I'm with Buddy. What is government even for? Yeah, I mean, that's constantly the question that I'm asking. What is the point? What are y'all really doing?
Yeah.
Why so many nonprofits? Why so many organizations? Why do we have to, what are we doing? What are we doing? That's the constant question. What are we doing? And that's actually the question. Moving along, man, we got just about 30 minutes left in the show and several articles to dive into. So I do want to move this conversation along, but continue with that point. What are we doing? What are we doing? That is the question I'm asking Douglas County after they spent $27 million on a juvenile justice a detention center, just to now say before the place even opens that it may be too small.
Lord. Mm-mm-mm.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is also the building that they took $10 million from COVID relief money to pay for. They being Douglas County. And now, before it even opens, they're reporting Omaha World Herald is reporting that it could be too small. This, according to Douglas County officials, who are beginning to grapple with the vexing and expensive probability that the county's new juvenile detention center will be too small when it opens next summer. The downtown facility is being built to hold up to 64 young people, but 89 youths are being held at the current Douglas County Youth Center as of Friday. How do you miss that calculation? The average daily number of young people detained there has been running above 64 and climbing for several months. The average amount of time that youths are spending in the detention center has also risen sharply. With the new $27 million detention center scheduled to open in about 7 months, county officials are worried that it won't have space for the current numbers of young people in detention. They're beginning to consider options, including continuing to use the current center near 42nd Street in Woolworth after the new facility opens in June or July. The downtown detention center is a part of a $120 million project that also includes a newly constructed annex to the Douglas County Courthouse and renovation of the former MUD headquarters into juvenile probation offices. An update on the juvenile justice is on the agenda for the county board's meeting this coming Tuesday, which is tomorrow. The meeting is scheduled to begin at 9 a.m. in the legislative chamber of the Omaha Douglas Civic Center. That's 1819 Farnham Street. But Douglas County Board Chairwoman Mary Ann Borgeson, who along with County Board Vice President Chris Rogers was leading proponent for the smaller detention center. We actually had a conversation back in the Minus Soul days with Brother Chris Rogers about the detention center, and he was very adamant about all the programs and all the benefits that it was going to bring to the community. And they say the county may need to slow down the transition to the new detention center while officials examine what is causing the numbers of young people and average length of stay in detention. Poverty. It's not rocket science. We figured that out a while ago. What are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts? It's a lot to this, but what are your thoughts?
Well, number one, we called it. I remember us having that conversation with Brother Chris Rogers back in the Minus Soul days. And after he left, we talked about that detention center. We talked about how they were going to keep the one they had. They kept talking about how they were going to take that one away because they're going to move all the facility. The reason why they had to have this is so they could have a shorter distance for the kids to be able to walk over to the courthouse and handle their business and then go to the detention center all in the same facility. And so they were getting rid of the old facility because it was outdated and blah, blah, woof. And guess what? They're going to have both facilities open. They're going to fill both those facilities up with kids. We called it.
And yeah. The question was, is it going to be more beds? And they said, no, we're going to close it down. But it's more beds. And right. Also part of that, the reason their reasoning for opening and needing this detention center was the fact that it was reported that also some of the people who can't, like once they ran out of space at the current location, they would send the youth out of town or to different other facilities that made it harder for their family to visit them and made it harder for them to get in contact with their lawyers and, made it very difficult for that situation. But again, apparently, like you said, we called it. It's just more beds.
Yeah. I think it's so atrocious. It's really ridiculous, man. It's really like, it's incredible that, is this needed? I mean, are we just on one about this? You guys let us know in the chat. Ghost listeners, chime up too on this, man. We want to know, are we just tripping? Are these beds needed, or do these kids need to be in these detention centers? I know that we've been having some trouble around town with violence in the youth community for the past, for a while, but especially in the past 6 months, there's been a lot going on. And me and Buddy had a little conversation a little earlier before the show about whether or not our youth is even being looked at as youth. There's a whole article in the paper about a 19-year-old man, as if 19 ain't a teenager, and so on one end of the spectrum, I'm glad they're calling it a youth facility and treating it different than a high level prison, but at the same time, preschool to prison pipeline, it seems like they just put another, that's the juvenile justice center is another step in that direction. So what do you guys say in the chat? Are we tripping?
I mean, I think not. I mean, I'm kind of along with your train of thought on it, Paul. When you had mentioned that it seems like what is the industry in Nebraska? Prisons. Jail is the industry in Nebraska. And
That's
I
right.
think you're right, right on when you talk about this just being a step in the preschool to prison pipeline. We'll get into it, and I would love to hear people who tuned in. But Nebraska prisons are overcrowded, and they're not getting any less crowded. And where are those people coming from?
Another good question is, where are these people going? Shout out to Diane Good Collins, who runs the reentry program at Metropolitan Community College. I'm getting ready to start working with her on shooting some video on the progress of people that are getting out, what they're doing, trying to stop recidivism. We all know what recidivism means. The frequency in which people go back in and out of jail. We're trying to make it so they can come out and be in the world and not have to go back. And so, shout out to people who have programs like that, because that's another thing, man. They make it so that you're almost a career, jail in prison inmate. You know what I'm saying? Like they got all these things that don't help you stay out, and you got to have other nonprofit programs and other stuff going on to help people not go back, because it's constantly just filled up all the time. But we really got to look at these industries and look at the reason why it's like that here. What kind of industry is here, and are these private jails? What's going on with the jail system out here? Because it's just going to continue, and they're not done. We can call another one. They're going to build another juvenile justice facility. As a matter of fact, I kind of remember us reporting on this. There was already some money that was getting ready to be set aside in Tiff Alley for a whole nother facility, some kind of other facility that had to do with our youth.
Yeah, actually, that's mentioned in this article. It says proponents of the project said too many young people were being held for too long in juvenile detention. They said building a smaller youth center next to the Douglas County Courthouse would help spark additional programming and further reforms, thus further reducing numbers of youth in detention. That was the mentality. However, critics said building a detention center with a lower capacity would compromise public safety and could lead to Douglas County having to place young people in detention centers outside the county, which is kind of the issue now, as I mentioned previously. Omaha police union leaders said during the debate over the project that a new facility should have 100 to 125 beds, not the 60 or so that is currently in the facility. So, wow. Yeah, they have already been calling for more beds, and now they might use this as justification for another complete facility. And let's not forget it in this whole equation, all of the mental health facilities that's being built. I mean, that could be seen as another, form of detention, more beds for our youth.
Right, more beds. The question I have for the chat, though, is it needed? I mean, is something thinking about what's going on in our community, what is needed? Because they're going to come up with that solution every time. There might be people in our communities that agree. Are these facilities necessary? Is stuff so wild out here right now that we need to go ahead and put them in some kind of containment? What's the match it up with the solutions to the violence and the stuff that's going on here? Anybody who's outside of our neighborhoods and don't know our families and don't know our kids is automatically going to be like, oh, it's wild, let's go ahead and build something else for them. But what do we have to say about it? What do we have to say about it? I really would like to know, what's the solution? What's the answer here? I've been in situations where I've seen mothers call the cops on their kid, and when I say kid, I'm talking 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old kid that's wilding out, because that's what happens, and they have no other recourse but to do that. So it's not like our community just don't ever call the police. It's not, our community is also involved in trying to keep peaceful neighborhoods happening all the time as well. What do you do? What exactly do you do? So,
yeah. I mean, that's definitely a good question. Let's go to the chat. Let's see. Our brother Inamar Valentine says, "What are we doing should be next season's theme." I'm with you on that one.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Kimra is in the chat. Well, good morning to Kimra. She says, "Wow, sounds like whoever they hire for the Family Resource Center will have a task." Man, Jillian Post says, "Oh, it will be too small. Want to talk about a group that is in a state of crisis? Who have who have had contact with the juvenile justice system and are teetering on foster care, another system that's failing the youth, or
Ooh.
residential treatment centers are in very bad space. I know. I worked in Papillion for a couple years, 10 years ago. COVID has tripled the need, man. So, yeah, COVID definitely exacerbating a lot of these issues." And Brother Von Chapman calling out Brother Chris Rogers says, "At what point has Chris Rogers ever been right about addressing the real problems in the community?" I'd have to say he got this one wrong.
Mm.
Um,
I need
and,
more
and
info before I say that. I need more info.
hmm,
Like I said,
in which regards?
and whether or not and whether or not the a facility is needed, another facility is needed, a bigger facility is needed, um, because I'm not sure. Like I'm trying to put it to the chat right now. I want to. What do we do about the problems that's been going on now? You know, a youth facility is one solution. Of course, we will go so far as to say poverty is the reason for these things. Let's do something about poverty. But in the meantime, when things are happening, like they happened just this last weekend and this last week, what happens to what do we want to do with those people, with those kids? Because
Yeah,
we don't necessarily want to put them in grown people prison.
no.
So I'm not quite sure if it's the wrong move to do to do what Chris Rogers has been trying to back this whole time or whatever. Like I'm not sure.
I guess I don't want to get it misconstrued that I'm saying that we don't need police and we don't need juvenile justice centers and we don't need mental health facilities. Like there is a need for that. My concern or my point is it's not the end all be all, which a lot of times that is how it's treated. Let's
Yep.
build these, let's build these buildings, let's add these beds, let's create these programs, and you know how much of the people are being addressed, how much of the
Yeah,
person, the humanity in that person is being addressed, because once you address the humanity in a person, they will act more humanely.
that's true. I mean, like I said, I don't. It's a dream to think that anybody outside the community is going to come up with any kind of more human solutions. They're going to build stuff. They're going to build prisons to keep people at bay, and that's just what they're going to do. So I'm trying to figure out what we think ought to be happening now. What
Hmm.
we think needs to happen at this point. You know, it's not a question. It's not a definitive answer. We're not going to get no definitive answers here. It's just something
Mm-hmm.
that we need to be thinking about. You know, that we see a problem, they see a problem, they come up with that solution. What's ours?
Man, well, Jillian Post, she's providing an answer or a solution in the chat. She says, pay caseworkers more than $13 to $18 an hour for very challenging work, and the programs will improve. Also, let's get more caseworkers. You know, again, two, sometimes three times the amount. Again, it is 17 cases is the caseload for a caseworker in the state of Nebraska, and most times they're working 30, 40 plus. So
Yeah,
yeah, more caseworkers, better payment. And again, that's my thing. Like $27 million for a facility that you're now saying is not adequate before it even opens. Could that 27 million go to more caseworkers?
yeah,
That's
for
my
real.
point. It's like again, yes, we need facilities. Yes, we need programs. Yes, there is a need for that stuff. To answer your question, Paul, there is a need for it. But is that the need? Is that the end all be all, or do we need some other stuff?
Well, we definitely need other stuff, and it needs to be our community that says what other stuff we need. And
But
and,
that's the issue.
and
that's the issue. Who's making the decision as far as like, yes, the community can say what we need, but who's going to pay for it? Who's going to then support that?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it ought to be the people in our community that's calling that. So they need to, you know, there's needs to be a way that we get that point gets across. The other thing that I was thinking about too is that this whole punitive parental thing that happens too. They're gonna punish. You know, any kind of jail, any of these facilities. There's an element of punishment that they're trying that they have that they lay on everybody too. and that's another reason why they'll go that route first. It's one thing to keep somebody, grab somebody out the street real quick and lock them down because they're wilding out or something's happening. It's another thing to, something's happening and you're going to add a bunch of stuff on for punishment's sake. I think that has a lot to do with it too. And do we agree with that? Do we not agree with that? I always find that parental punishment thing that the government tries to do or the city tries to do as being very problematic. But maybe there's other people in our community that think, yeah, they need to be punished. Who knows what's happening because we're not able to speak up and say what we need to say all the way. And I think that's, for me, the bottom line is we need to be talking about what we're gonna do with our kids. That what needs to happen with our community. That's what it is.
Mm. And that goes right along with what Brother Nomar Valentine is saying in the chat. What avenue does the community have to engage in these types of conversations? Which is why we created First Sky Omaha, because we didn't see an avenue for that. Not in the community.
That's right.
But again, that's why we want, and we do urge people to put forth solutions. And of course, we're not always going to come up with the solutions, but we are here, Paul and Mark McGaw are trying to facilitate these types of conversations. And that's why we do appreciate the fact that we do have the likes of, a Senator Terrell McKinney, the likes of a Precious McKesson, the likes of, Senator Justin Wayne, put some respect on all of their names. Senator Carol Blood, put some respect on their names, because this avenue is the avenue for us to have these types of conversations. And hopefully those people that I just named off, the Michaela Kavanaughs of the world, hopefully, the Councilwoman Johnsons of the world will listen to what we're saying and will support what it is that we're trying to say. But there can't be a disconnect in that conversation. You can't just listen and come up with your own ideas. We have to have a constant dialogue for this to work, because it's going to be the same, more of the same if we don't.
So true. 8:52 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, my electricity is still off, and they better do something about it fast. It's getting cold in here, and I'm gonna start burning furniture in a minute. If they don't want these sprinklers going off, they better come on and went back with it.
Man.
Somebody call OPPD. Anyway, appreciate you sticking with us through all these technical difficulties. It's a brand new technical difficulty for us today, which is very
brand new.
Brand spanking. You get Buddy all day, you get Buddy full screen all day today, man. Anyway, it's about 8:52. Like I said, not many haps happening today, but would like to hear about some of the haps that happened. Did you go to the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation celebration this weekend? Anybody hit the mayor's town hall? Where were the fireworks there? We're definitely going to have Precious McKesson and Kimber Snipes on, put some respects on their names on Wednesday to talk about a lot of the things that are going on. But yeah, did you guys make any of those events or the Flatwater Free Press thing in Lincoln? I know we got Lincolnites listening now, so appreciate everybody from Lincoln that's tuning in. And let us know that did you go check out that Flatwater Free Press talk that just passed as well. Let us know what you did all week long. I know a couple people in the chat rallied and went to the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation celebration, and so that was awesome to see. I saw pictures and saw people pretty deep in there. That was great. They showed up for the arts this weekend too. I Am a Black Woman played at the Benson Theater. They showed up for Black art, really, really tough, really nice, really good. So really happy about all that. And let us know what you did, and let us know what's coming up this week if there's anything important happening. I'm probably going to meet up with the Documenters program with Abby Kretz this week to find out where they're at on their documenter stuff going on. So we'll bring her back on next Monday maybe and have a conversation about where they're at on their stuff. But let us know if there's any meetings or anything that we need to be passing that along to them to try to cover, or anything that we need to be trying to cover ourselves and go check out. Let us know. Yeah. But in the meantime, instead of doing too many haps today, maybe we can jump into a little lightning round of the rest of the stories that we wanted to talk about today. Unless you had something else.
Well, no, we're right on the same page, bro. Even though, through the technical difficulties, it can't really chat in the background, can't really see each other. We're right on the same page. I definitely wanted to dive into that. And, as you mentioned, and people going into events, also last week, shout out while we're talking about prisons, while we're talking about the prison, preschool to prison pipeline, that whole situation. Shout out to our partners at Flatwater Free Press, who had a forum on the prison situation in Nebraska just recently. So again, if anyone went to that or was able to catch a little bit of the live stream, we'll definitely love to get your feedback on that. I did want to wrap that segment up. What a quote from that forum. Again, big shout out to Natalia Alamdari, who was the moderator, and several other people who spoke on the panel. One individual said, talking about just this whole conversation we just had, to wrap it up. She says that's where the rubber hits the road, where we need to be helping folks when we have the opportunity. If we don't, then what are we doing? Which is the same question I'm asking. What are we doing? We are rendering them to where they can't meet their basic needs. So then what do people do? They return to those criminogenic behaviors because they have to survive, which is kind of the ultimate thing. So again, these are the conversations that are being had. Big shout out to Flatwater Free Press for facilitating that conversation. And we need to make sure that we're having our voices heard in those conversations and we are present. So big shout out to everyone who, was able to make that. Also looking at the chat, Karen says she went to the Malcolm X event. So yeah, big shout out to those who went to that as well. But wrapping up again, jumping into our lightning round in the last 4 or so minutes in the show. And also continuing with this conversation and looking at some of the violence that we've had over the last couple of days. There are some updates coming in on those stories. First of all, we do want to talk and send our condolences out to the family. Again, it did hit home. We are finding out from people in the chat and just through Facebook that Precious McKesson had a loss in her family. One of the young men, really teenagers that passed away recently in the Benson area, apparently was a family member of Precious McKesson. And just the fact that it's hitting home to one of the chat chimers definitely makes it a little tougher for us. But at any rate, man, love and light and condolences goes out to the family of brother Sincere Brooks, who was recently shot and killed in the Benson area. Again, that is the article that Paul was mentioning. He's referred to as a 19-year-old man. But if you look at this picture, very, very much so looks like a child still. A lot of life still ahead of him. I mean, he's 19, so effectively still a teenager, not able to, go to the club or buy alcohol or anything, barely even able to vote. So, again, still a lot of life ahead of him. Taken too soon, and I'm all a part of all for the hashtag or the saying that quote unquote black men deserve to grow past 30. Black men deserve to grow old, which is too many of us aren't given that opportunity. So hopefully this gets solved, gets to the bottom of it, and just man, as a community we've got to do better. And unfortunately, it it's possible that it gets worse with the likes of Illin Pillin, who's all for making this a gun state and not really doing anything to address the root causes. It's looking like it's not going to get too much better unless we as a community decide to do something.
Yeah. Maybe we can do a little moment of silence for the young brother.
Yeah, definitely. Her and the young sister that just lost her life. The young girl who was killed during what they're calling the mass shooting recently, young Carly Wood. So again, a quick moment of silence for young Carly Wood, young Sincere Brooks, and also the young sister Datiana Kellogg, who lost her life earlier this month as well. Yeah. Again, rest in peace to these young brothers and sisters losing their life, man. And as Paul said, we're not going to come up with any main, large, oversweeping, solve it all, solutions. But again, that's what this platform is for, to have those conversations. So again, love, light, condolences goes out to the families dealing with those losses, and man, we just got to figure it out as a people. got to figure it out.
Right. And not just love and light, but Precious already knows anything that we can do for her and her family. Let us know, and any of the families that are suffering. If we can do anything, let us know. Let us. We want to not just say hearts and thoughts and prayers. We actually want to support and help, whatever that means, whatever help you guys need going through grieving process. We all gonna go through it, and I'm gonna ask for it too when I got to go through it. So let's
Man,
whatever we can do, and I think that I saw that Precious posted, if anybody has any information, speak up.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. The whole, not snitching situation. We gotta handle that.
Yeah, if anybody has any info on any of those situations, it's definitely pertinent for us to speak up on it. It's got to be solved. It's got to be fixed. Families need closure. Families need to go through. Families need help, and we all need help, and we need to figure something out and do something about it. So yeah, so I'm not asking this. I like I said, I read this on Precious post. Anybody have any information on that young brother's death, please let somebody know.
Yeah,
just go ahead and do it. The family's asking for it.
And a lot of times, when it's people that young, the families might not have prepared for to lose their loved one that early. So what are the funeral expenses set up? What kind of life insurance? What does that look like? Do we need to help? We don't want people on the side like selling plates, especially in the snow.
Yeah.
So let's definitely, as Paul mentioned, I'm glad you mentioned that. Do what we can to support each other. Takes a village, y'all. Takes a village. But we are a little over time, so just to wrap up this
Oh yeah, it's already 9:02.
Yeah, right. You're right. To wrap up this lightning round, which hasn't been too lightning quick. Also there's some information coming out about monoclonal antibodies in the COVID. COVID is still around. COVID is still a thing, and now a new wave of Omicron subvariants are best yet evading the immune system's current defense that has taken over the U.S. They're expected to knock out the last monoclonal antibody treatment standing against the coronavirus. So a lot of people, again, if you remember, even before the vaccines were made available, a lot of people were getting the monoclonal antibodies treatment, and apparently now the COVID subvariant has evolved past that. So again, COVID's still a thing. Still be vigilant. Still do what you can to wash your hands, check in on your health. Make sure you're getting tested if you feel your symptoms. If you feel sick, please stay home. Especially now, things are getting colder with flu season. Yeah, let's be smart.
There you go. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Again, thank you for dealing with our technical difficulties here today, and participating in the show and being a part of this. And I can see so many people, so many of you still in the chat. Really appreciate everybody that's joined us, all the chat chimers, all the ghost listeners, everybody involved. Like I said, Wednesday with Precious McKesson, with Politicking with P, and also we'll be seeing what's good in the hood with Kimmer Snipes and continue these conversations here. We're going to wrap up the season here pretty soon. So everybody, just keep that in mind, that's going to happen pretty soon. So anything that you think we need to be discussing before we go on that break, definitely let us know. Leave it in Friends of First Sky Omaha, the group page. Join that page and leave those comments there, and we can kind of arrange that and talk about that. I know a couple people have given us good suggestions on who we ought to have on the show, so we're working on that as well in order to have some guests on before we leave on break. So thank you very much. As a matter of fact, we'll go ahead and get out of here since we're running late. Buddy, you got any words for the people?
Yeah, really quickly, shout out to Jillian Post. She says, bring up the talk that's happening about the hate you give at Holland Performing Arts. It's free. She says she is going. We'll try to get more information. Please, I think we have information on the Friends of page, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we do.
So definitely check it out on the Friends of First Sky Omaha on Facebook. Again, the hate you give conversation happening at the Holland Performing Arts Center. Big shout out to Jillian Polk. She says she's going to go out there. So yeah, don't make her go alone, y'all. Let's have some chat chimers and some some squad pull up and join that conversation. Definitely a great book, great film if you haven't seen it. Support. Also, for those of you who are missing out on the family, you might be alone this holiday season. Shout out to the mayor Sanchez, opening up his home. I seen him posted several times throughout the chat, so I want to make sure I acknowledge that. He says, anyone who would like to join me and my family for this holiday meal for any reason, you are more than welcome. Just message me and I will give you the details. Big shout out to my man, Mayor Sanchez, Rome's Review, dropping some love and light, man. Sharing his family, man. Depression is real. A lot of people slip into depression, slip into suicidal ideations, especially around this time. Seasonal depression, family, loss of family. It's a real thing. And you never know, who you might help by just sharing your family and sharing some love with them. So big shout out to Rome's Review, Mayor Sanchez, as we like to call him around here, for opening up his home, his family for the holidays. I definitely check him out if you need some love, if you need some company. But other than that, man, big shout out to all the chat chimers. Y'all are awesome. Thank you for helping me, especially in light of the tech difficulties. Lost my man Paul for a second, but had y'all, which is why we call y'all our co-hosts, man. So we appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. Take care of each other. Until next time, catch the same time, same place, right here on First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, you still there?
Yeah, man. I'm hanging on by a thread. I got my big sweater on. It's getting cold around here.
Oh, man, yeah.
Hey, I got a question from Mayor Sanchez. You got tamales over there, bro? I'll give you a call. Hey, Pop says a super great show, especially under adverse conditions. Bravo. Thank you, Pops. Yes. Appreciate that. Zirka Fell says a very great show. Thank you. Drink water, check your titties, direct your money, be good to yourselves. Love all that advice. Thank you. Gwen Easter said great show. Thank you so much. Appreciate everybody. If I missed you, then I'm sorry. I'm kind of looking on the phone to try to figure that part out. But thank you again for dealing with us through our technical difficulties and hanging with us and keeping that conversation going. The conversation is all that matters. So that's what's up. 24 tamales on my way, brother. I'm on my way. It's
nice.
Going down. So thank you very much. We want to give a thanks to the Omaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Thanks to our elders for allowing us to be to speak before them. And thanks to you, all the chat chimers, allowing us to speak with you. We really appreciate you. Also, the ghost. Oh, as I speak, the lights come back on. Also, the ghost listeners, all the ghost listeners, thank you very much for that. Share the show if you're so inclined to do that. If you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube, we didn't get a chance to talk about the craziness going on Twitter, so we can make a decision if we're going to stay on that or not. We'll talk about that Wednesday. But thank you very much for everybody who has joined us the way that you have and followed us wherever we go. We really appreciate that. This conversation cannot happen without you. So thank you very much. In the meantime, between time, we're going to let you get out of here. It's supposed to warm up this week a little bit. It's not going to be as cold. So I'll take it. Just to make sure that you spend your time with your loved ones, whether you celebrate or not. And always give that love and give that thanks for everybody who is who you can, who you feel this time to feel grateful, whatever the season, whatever the holiday, it doesn't matter. I try to feel grateful every week. I try to speak on what I'm feeling grateful on, but I feel grateful every day, especially because of you guys. So appreciate it very, very much. Buddy, thanks for holding it down and handling things while we had all this mess go on. Modern technology, bro. We'll get it together. We'll get back in here Wednesday strong.
Yeah, man.
In the meantime, between time, I'm gonna get ready to go turn this heat back on now that the lights are back on. So peace. We'll see you guys Wednesday. Peace.
I got a little something. Can't see it.
By the way.
Hey.
This is protected by the red, the black, and the green. At the crossroad, with the key.
By any means necessary.
Peace, Joe.
I'm glad you did that because I was about to go vainglorious myself. Peace.